So we have the news, toxic individuals, toxic locations, lost souls, strings of bad luck. Also, unbalanced, unconscious energy fragments that linger within the atmosphere that we may or may not be aware of. So when you really get down to it, we are constantly being surrounded by unconscious or unbalanced negative energy at all times. So with that being said, it really puts emphasis on why protection magic is so important. And as you've probably noticed, protection magic is vast. There's tons of books, resources, articles, especially within each tradition having their own unique way in which they go about things or incorporate with different techniques into their spiritual practices. So to condense it but keep it covering a kind of complete basis, we're going to go over inner protection as well as outer protection and ways in which you can incorporate this into your practice. But first, let's talk about some of the lower vibe energies as well as entities that you could encounter when working across the veil, as well as encountering some of these day to day. Starting with probably the most common that we would encounter on a day-to-day basis, harmful energies. These are not always conscious, and more often than not, they are unconscious remnants of just day-to-day living, including arguments, violence, grief, depression, stress, illness. All of that creates an unbalanced energy that just lingers until it's neutralized or cleansed away. That's often if you've ever stepped into when someone just had an argument, you know, that saying like you can cut the tension with a knife, because you're literally feeling that unbalanced energy that has just taken place that's kind of creating the disharmony in the environment. That would be the most common, but you can still absorb that and take that with you, and if not released or cleansed away, that can affect you if you're accumulating large amounts over time. Next one would be harmful judgments. So this is where the evil eye comes into play. It's like the side eye. It's also where those individuals, you encounter jealousy or envy. It's generally thought projections with the intent to weaken someone, to get into their weak spots and affect them. And it very much has the potential to affect your mood and your energy. So another one of the more common ones, but thankfully also very easily to remedy. Next, we have psychic vampires. I think just about everyone has encountered a psychic vampire. Those individuals that we would consider narcissists, or someone who has not yet gone within their own darkness or their own self to really embrace that other part of their soul and bring it back into balance. So they're operating at a half incomplete level of self, and because of that, they're naturally going to need energy from others. These are generally individuals who either choose not to raise their own vibration or are too weak to do that. This is where you also get manipulation, the lies, deceit, that kind of all falls under this. You have different kinds. You have astral psychic vampires, mental vampires, but basically when you all break it down, it's just a lower vibe energy entity that would rather take energy from another than build strength within themselves and raise their own vibrations. So moving a little bit more across the veil into the unseen beings. First, we have unwanted spirits. This would probably be the more common situation where doing first rituals or first getting into a spiritual practice and connecting with the other side, because you're opening yourself up and almost like a lighthouse, your light starts to kind of illuminate. These are the beings, entities that see the light, and it's almost kind of like they're curious. They come to check things out. But it is important to remember they are lower vibrational entities, so they very much have the potential to stick around or maybe play tricks, or sometimes you'll see them outside or knocking, missing things. These are kind of like the astral realm's version of an insect or a rodent. They're often harmless, but they can be mischievous and be basically annoying. After unwanted spirits, we have larvae. They are thought forms and constructs of mental energy that need that source or that food, that energy to keep itself alive, keep itself going. I wouldn't necessarily, this is where like poltergeists come into play, but I want to bring up poltergeist to kind of give it a similar parallel way in which I'm viewing it, because it is a mental construct created by yourself that will need either negative energy or the continuation of negative thoughts to keep itself going. After larvae, we have earthbound spirits. This is where we start to get into the more fully conscious beings and entities. For example, a fully conscious ghost that you are able to communicate and it understands what you're talking about and is able to respond back consciously. After earthbound spirits are malevolent spirits. And these are where we get those entities that were not human to begin with, generally malevolent. You could put demons in this classification, but demons is probably the most common. You can get a variety of different entities as well as extraterrestrial entities that might not have your best interest in mind, but this would be more you going out and searching for them. Generally, those entities, if we're talking about extraterrestrial, wouldn't necessarily be searching individuals out to prey on, but bottom line is these entities feed off lower vibe energies, so fear, anger, hatred, a lot of the shadow energies to sustain itself and give itself power, and it needs to take the power from something, someone, or some situation. Now, that was just a baseline covering of some of the entities that you can encounter. Just as many as individuals you encounter on a daily basis, there are entities times a million. So, with that being said, protecting yourself is definitely a wise investment into your own health and energy. Some important things to keep in mind. A minimum of 3 forms of protection. Remember the thresholds. Windows, doors, floor washes, window washes, regular everyday cleansing of sacred spaces as well as self is best, especially when there are new moves or new businesses. Consecrating the sacredness of new places with protecting it really helps set that foundation and that tone and puts it on a really good level, keeping its protection barrier strong. Black salt, eggshells, salt baths, all important and helpful in protecting self. So inner protection as well as outer protection really helps to ensure that you're covering all bases and keeping all ways in which your energy is manifesting nice and obviously protected. So to help ensure that you're covering all bases and protecting your energy completely, practicing inner as well as outer protection, or just covering all the bases and keeping everything in alignment. So inner protection, aside from regular physical health and mental, psychological, emotional health, spiritual ways best incorporate a daily practice of grounding, centering, aligning your energy bodies, aligning yourself, as well as some form of shielding. Some great examples include of the rituals coming from the Golden Dawn. So we have the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, as well as the Rose Cross ritual. Those are great to give that baseline way in which to protect your aura, put a shield of protection up and keep it strong, as well as transmuting weaknesses, keeping in alignment with your higher self, and using its high vibration to really keep you grounded, protected at all times. You can also do those rituals for your sacred spaces, including your house, your car, business, etc. Outer forms of protection include working with the darker, deeper, richer colors, which have a more protective energy to them naturally. These include crystals such as jet, black tourmaline, amber, garnet, hematite, iron. So carry iron. You can also hold iron while you're grounding yourself, as well as burying it at the 4 locations of your house to help keep that psychic shield around your home. Working with the celestial bodies of the sun, Mars, Earth, Saturn. Very much earth energy, going back to its way in which it transmutes and cleanses energy. When you watch Earth in its physical form, it's constantly regenerating itself. It's taking things which are dying or decomposing or just there and neutralizes it, breaks it down, and turns it into something that is usable, or something turns it into a new form. So working with the earth energy really helps to take energies and transmute them, neutralize them, giving your negative energy, or negative energy sending them to the earth, burying it. And it's literally that chemical reaction that is taking place, and why working with the earth energy is so powerful. And speaking of earth energies, great protective herbs as well as resins include frankincense and myrrh. We find that used most in ancient Egypt, and you can also find it in the Bible as forms of protection. It's also 2 of the ingredients found within the incense that is burned within the Catholic churches. Very protective, as well as dragon's blood, cinnamon, bloodroot, sandalwood. Those are all great protective herbs. And we can't forget talismans, amulets, charm bags, wearing them as jewelry also. Now you can get a lot of talismans are for protection, amulets are for something else, or amulets are for protection, talismans or something. Bottom line is you have the power, and both are helpful in keeping that negative energy, acting with the energies across the veil. There's also the seal of Saturn. In a lot of folk magic, we find chicken feet, which are to scare, keep away unwanted energy. Also, brooms are great. They're a traditional form of magic to sweep away, release, let go of unwanted, harmful, anything that you do not want in your space, sweeping it away. So as you can see, there's tons of ways in which you can get creative and incorporate protection magic into your daily practice. So please like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and I will see you all next time.